Monday. I can,
Do it before we have to do it.
before we have to print it, yeah. And then I'll always send an update out to the public. Okay, everything should be ready.
Working on it.
You're working on it? Are you live?
Yeah. 6:30 yet? 6:29. 6:30. Welcome everyone. Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Remain standing for a short invocation. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear Lord, as we gather this evening, this council asks again for strength, courage, and wisdom. We thank you for this wonderful town that we live in. We hope that you bless the entire town's year, and we appreciate everything that you can do for us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Call in order the January 3rd meeting, January 3rd, 2023 meeting of the Mooresville Town Council. Gentlemen have had a chance to read the minutes of our previous meeting. There is one exception for the approval of the minutes. Motion was made by Councilman Sweeney to approve the minutes with two corrections of the December 20th meeting. No, that's not right either. That should be of the correction of the minutes. That should be of the previous meeting. Sixth meeting. That should be the December 6th meeting. And then it also shows the vote as 3-0, and it should be 3-0-1 as Councilman Stanley was not at the previous meeting, so he did not vote on those. So those are the two changes. Gentlemen have had a chance to read the minutes. I need a motion to either approve or amend the minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes with the adjustments.
Motion been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed and abstained. Big Shane, 302. Next item on the agenda is reorganization. Gentlemen, this is an annual housekeeping event. We need a motion for president of the council.
Motion for Tom Wortham, President of the Council.
Motion been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. Jeff Gregg, 5-0. Need a motion for a vice president.
Motion for Greg Sweeney, Vice President.
Motion been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained.
Do you want it?
Okay. 401. Under unfinished business, we have the Monroe and Carlisle Street Banning Engineering. I think we have a representative here from Banning Engineering who's excited to present.
Yeah. I think. Hey, Mark, would you mind switching their nameplates for them?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Since you're out there. Thanks.
Send you a bill.
You did the town a good service.
It's the cost factor that bothers us. It's not the actual labor.
Good. Okay, thank you for your time. My name is Mark Butler. I'm with Banning Engineering. We've been retained to help design the Monroe and Carlisle Street improvement. Just a quick overview. The purpose of the project is to improve Monroe Street itself, mostly by adding sidewalks on both sides where there is none, but also improving the sidewalk distance away from the road currently on the west side. We feel like it's going well and moving along quite well. So we did receive a Community Crossings, the town received a Community Crossings award for around $700,000, and we're currently on target for that budget, which I'll go into in just a minute. The purpose of me coming forward to the council today is to talk about the current right-of-way situation. A couple council meetings ago, I came forward and expressed the situation. We found that there are several landowners that actually own to the middle of Monroe Street. I'm going to show an exhibit on the TV to kind of describe what that looks like. This is Monroe Street tilted, so the north is to the left of the screen. I've numbered the parcels here. There are 11, but I showed 10 here because the school, Newby Schools, is a willing donor of their land for the project. The 10 that are shown here are ones that own to the middle of the road. So at that time, we made a request for some funds to go and do proper title research, which we did. And the title research came back to conclude that there is no apparent evidence of right-of-way given at any time. So it appears that when NDOT owned that corridor, it was not acquired properly at that time.
I mean, it is and it isn't.
Yeah. In our experience, we find that sometimes it does this and sometimes it doesn't. It's not necessarily unheard of, unfortunately, but that's the way it kind of has landed. So if what I'm coming forward today about is if you would like to continue the process to acquire the right-of-way for the roadway, I'm giving you a proposal for the services to do that, if that is the wish of the council. I can't explain the process and what all goes into that and everything. The important aspect for the construction project to move forward is that we at least have right of entry for each of the parcels so we can do our construction work. I did speak to Julie earlier today about potentially providing a template for right of entry so that we could approach these property owners and hopefully get that right of entry to come in and do the sidewalk work. And if they agree, then we can separate the construction time frame from the property acquisition time frame, okay, and have those going independently. So Joel talked about he already has a template that he's already put together for a previous project, and that he'd be willing to do that if that's what the council would like to do. So part of the scope that I have here in front of you in your council packet is kind of explaining the process. And so I put together a simple flow chart of how typically this goes. So on the left, starting on the left, is we've already determined that the owners of the property are who they are and that they own to the middle of the road. And so what would happen then is we would prepare legal descriptions and exhibits on what piece of ground we would need to establish the roadway corridor. Then at that time, we would prepare a letter and approach the property owners. And that letter would explain their rights. So if they, for example, if they want to have the town purchase that land, it explains that process. If they would like to donate the land, it explains that process as well. So it's important to note that they are not obligated to donate it in any way, okay? But if they choose to be a participant in the project and help out that way, they can do that. So the right of entry step would then be next. Hopefully that they'd be willing and a supporter of the project to allow us to at least do construction. If they would like to receive payment for that piece of ground that we need, then it would follow the upper flow chart where we would need appraisal. The appraisal would establish the fair market value of that piece. You need to note also that the fair market value of a piece that a road is already on is typically fairly low. There's not a lot of value where a chunk of that parcel is under a current roadway, okay? So the appraiser does a certified appraisal based on all the factors, okay? The next step would be a negotiator is hired to put together an offer package. If the council is approves the price at which it comes up and would like to go ahead and purchase, then this negotiator would work with the town attorney to assemble a offer package and then negotiate or approach the property owner in that way. And then once an agreement is put together, everything is signed and recorded, and that completes the process. If instead the property owner would like to go ahead and just donate, then they would, the attorney would draft up a warranty deed. The deed is then signed and recorded, and that's the end. So typically, you don't have an appraiser or a negotiator in that process. So in the way this is all laid out and the steps are put together in this order are done in such a way that if we don't anticipate this at all, but if condemnation were to be the case, then it would be in line to go that way. But again, that's not our intent at all at this stage. Okay, so that's regarding the property acquisition. So what I'd like to put before you is, one, would the council like to go ahead and pursue this? I've laid out the fees to do that for an appraiser, for managing the process, and for a negotiator. Any questions on that at this point? I don't need an answer right now necessarily, but any questions on that process?
So a lot of government to me is cleaning up after incompetent government, and that's where we're at here. They should have recorded those easements years ago. But with the construction easement, you call them something else, but it's basically a temporary construction easement, correct?
Right of entry.
Right of entry,
Yes.
is that basically what it is? Where they give you a temporary access to be able to do your work, and then that's it?
Correct,
Is
yeah.
is that a permanent solution in your mind?
In my mind, no. They would continue to own to the middle of the road.
Right.
I don't want to speak out of turn. I'm not an attorney, so it does step out of my purview, but they would continue to own to the middle of the road until that property were acquired.
It's an odd situation because they're paying taxes to the middle of the road, property taxes to the middle of the road, correct?
Correct.
So if they don't, if we don't get this fixed, then they continue to pay taxes on property that they can't really use anyway.
Then
they're paying taxes to maintain that property on top of that, with the rest of their property. So
sure.
it just seems odd. But that would get you to construction and in time to start that and negotiate the rest of it as time goes on.
Correct. Correct. So,
What about lien holders on the property?
lien holders? Yeah, sure. So
Curious, have you ever had to come up against that?
sure, yes.
Have to be,
Yes, so in the negotiation phase, the negotiator would investigate what liens are on the property, and then the paperwork required to notify that lien holder, and they would have to be in agreement to the adjusted value of the property after that. So it's something that's very common, but we just kind of work through it as you go. So, yeah, that's a good question. I do have another item to talk about, and that has to do with the monument sign, basically the welcome sign into Mooresville. We've come up with a concept and presented it to Shane. Jeff, you weren't there at the day of, but I wanted to show it to you on the screen, and also it's on in your packet there. So the idea is that the sign would be placed for folks coming into town on Monroe Street, going southbound. It would be near the CarX facility, kind of in the right-of-way there, and it would be facing, basically on it, somewhat at an angle facing north-ish. Okay. The design of the sign came from other signs that are in town, but this one doesn't have a torch or anything real fancy with it. It's basically a brick sign with a limestone cap and lettering. The one comment that we received from Shane and kind of the group is that it doesn't currently have any lights on it, that perhaps we'd want a simple light on the front of it to shine at night. That's just ground-mounted light. Something simple and straightforward to replace in the case of, if a car or a mower were to run over it or something. So, wanted to present that to you if that was something that was agreeable to the council, and just kind of show you that. So, any questions on what we have so far?
The right-of-way on parcel number 1.
Oh, sure.
We're real close to Mooresville. Is it actually in Mooresville? On the other side of the Goodyear store, that parking lot, is that parcel in Mooresville?
I believe it is in Mooresville, but I will make sure and check to make sure it's in the town corporate limits.
I know that 1.01 miles ends right about there.
There, okay. Yeah, so the north property line of the CarX is as far as we're going. So I believe we're okay, but I will check that, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, it looks like you have that you're in acquisition there.
Yeah. Up to the north property line of the CarX. So here, let me show you a different, so the, I don't have my mouse, but, so it's just right, so there's the CarX right there. It would be right to that.
Okay, well, this one here, I didn't notice the way this one was drawn. It looks like it's north of that.
That line is lining up with the Brown building as built, and it kind of got cut off on the sheet there.
Okay.
So, yeah. But the intent is for it to end at the north line of the CarX. So,
Do you have the most recent iteration of the drawing for all of that, or would you rather not share it?
I do have the plan drawings.
I'm not sure if the rest of the council, have they received that? The latest update?
I can share that. I'd be happy to.
I think it'd
Yeah.
be good since you're here. If you've got it, or if you don't, you can send it.
You like on the screen? or I do have it.
just to show they can see what's going on.
Sure. Okay, so just really quick, these are the plans that we have. They're, I would say, about 80% in design right now, so they're not a finished product by any means. But I'm going to fast forward to our roadway plan. Maybe not so fast forward. There we go. Okay. So this is looking south to north. So we're at Main Street here. This is Main Street, and north is to the right of the page. And just so you know, there's the like the downtown like wayfinding sign, you know, right there, kind of power poles, and the library's over here. So the idea is that the current sidewalk is right up against the roadway right here, and we would replace this line here. That would be curb and gutter, okay? And the sidewalk would be brought back, roughly 14 feet or so back, to avoid any water, hydrants, and power poles that are in there. And then a sidewalk would be added on this side, and that would then make it walkable on both sides. Okay, I know there's a lot of detail on here that's not really necessary. It's more for construction and contractors to look at. But we are putting, repaving each of these alleys and driveways as we go through. This is Washington Street. We're adding, of course, replacing the curb ramps with the proper accessibility tiles, and the crossings are going to be maintained. And this is the Friends Church property up here. I'm going to go to the next page. So this is now Memorial Drive and Newbie schools up here. So we're going ahead, and we have the sidewalk. So the sidewalk on the east side does have about a 4-foot gap from the edge of the pavement. And what that does is that it is basically as much as we can get without going too far into folks' properties. So we've designed that in such a way that it has minimized the number of properties that we need to approach for additional right-of-way. So the 11 that we're talking about in the previous segment is basically the least number possible to get the project goals accomplished. Okay?
That includes the home with the retaining wall, right? We don't have to, the retaining wall will remain.
Correct.
I know that homeowner was very concerned about it.
Yeah, so that's this homeowner here. They have a retaining wall on their property, and the design has allowed us about 7 inches from the front of that retaining wall so that we don't need to touch it at all. So that was something early on, we weren't sure if we were able to do that, but it looks like we are going to be able to do that. There are some areas where the grade from the east sidewalk edge, where the grade goes up pretty considerably. So our plan is to have a curb installed on the back of the sidewalk to kind of have like a little, like a little mini buffer, retaining wall, if you will, to help with that grade transition. So,
Tree removal, are you expecting?
what's that?
I know there's some bigger trees up in that area, is that?
Yeah, there is going to have to be some tree removal, but we're trying to minimize that down to maybe 3 or 4 trees. Some of those are healthy and perfectly fine trees and big. Some of those are bigger, but they appear like they're struggling. So we've identified those, and we're working with Dave, of course. The the trees need to be removed ahead of the regulatory bat season, as you're probably familiar with. So they need to be removed before April 1st. So we're going to see how that timing works out with the contractor. If not, the town may have to take those down ahead of time. So,
No, this view won't show the crosswalk, but
right here?
yeah.
Yep, yep.
What kind of lighting is gonna be? Have a yellow flashing light or?
Yes, yellow flashing light. It'll be either. I think there's normally a crossing guard here at this location. So if a crossing guard were not there, then it's just push button activated and it's flashing lights facing both directions. And this plan doesn't show it, but this is like a piano bar standard painted crossing. So
Will they flash red when they hit that button?
it'll flash yellow actually.
I know we talked about red, I didn't know what.
Yeah. The standard is to flash yellow. We can look into red, but I've not seen those made typically. So yeah, but the idea is that they need to stop, and it's state law to stop at an active crossing. So that you're familiar with those signs that say crossing, state law, those would be there. So
I've seen the flashing red, I don't know. You said you haven't seen them?
this model that we're looking at, it's typically flashing yellow.
Right.
Yeah, but I can look into it, once again, so. Okay. So continuing forward, so that back curve would start right about here and then continue down the next page or two. All right, so. Okay, so this is like the north side of that circle drive in front of the gymnasium, the newbie piece. It's important to note that we are not touching the historic archways at all. We're staying very far away from those. We're actually going behind those and connecting with the existing sidewalk back there. Let me go back to the previous page just to show how we're doing that. Sorry, my panning. So this one right here, this is that southernmost crosswalk, so we're coming back around like this. And then this one is right up close to the road up here, so we're just going behind it like that. And the contractor will be instructed to avoid and will be required to protect it from damage. If you have any questions at all, please let me know, and I can stop and address whatever questions you have. For the most part, the project drains towards the south. There's a high point kind of by Newbie, and it drains down the hill. So this part here is, we're kind of at the high point, and now we're draining towards the north. There are not very many storm catch basins along that road at all. So our intent is to not to make this a major drainage project. And so the idea is where there's curb now, we're putting curb. Where there's no curb now, we're leaving the curb so that we're not disturbing any drainage patterns and creating any problems that weren't there before. This is one example right here. There's a large tree and a dumpster. These are the apartments, little apartments right here. We believe this tree will need to be removed just because it's so close, and the root ball is creating a kind of a hump, and if we were to put the sidewalk in right there, it would probably kill some of the roots and eventually kill the tree anyway. We are trying to do our very best to not affect trees that don't need to be affected, so that we understand that they're important to the community. So as I go forward, we're getting close to the subway and hair salon facility down here. So the sidewalk comes out away from the road, And then, also stop me if I'm explaining too much. So this is the subway down here. The driveways will be repaved, but the existing width, the existing geometry is all staying the same. Okay. So this will be an island right here. So folks from the apartments would walk down this way and cross like this, and then get over, you know, and walk to the school or wherever they're walking. Okay. That's the idea. And then there will be paint markings, signage, the lighted push-button crossing. It'll be very, very obvious.
Is that a raised island or just a?
Currently, it's designed as a raised island with a low maintenance, just concrete infill, and a, the detectable warning tiles going through. The idea is that it's supposed to look differently than the rest of the roadway, so that the average traveling motorist will see, okay, this is different. I need to slow down and look out for kids and people crossing. Okay, so
Will there be a crosswalk lighting there? Like a yellow light too?
yes, correct. Yep, that's right. So
Right now, they just fan out all over the road through there. They come out of Subway's parking lot. They just come out everywhere.
So going north, the plan is to have some ornamental trees along this frontage here. They'll be spaced and sized in a way that it's not to obstruct view, but to make the corridor feel, to make it feel smaller. The idea is to make it feel smaller, and the striping is done in a way that slows people down from the north. And then right about here is that north line of CarX, and the sign would go kind of in this area here behind the curb. Okay? So there's a not so quick overview of the project so far. Any questions at
Did
this
that
point?
show the turn lane?
The striping, hang on a second.
I think that's one of the most important things.
Let's see. Trying to,
Coming onto Carlisle Street.
yeah, this does not show the striping. I'm not prepared with that sheet today.
Oh, okay.
But coming southbound as you approach the Carlisle Monroe intersection, there'll be a southbound left turn lane onto Monroe. So
So there'll be a clear straight lane and a clear left-hand turn. Right now, people just go off into the shoulder. Or people are doing all kinds of things in that area,
yeah,
but going both directions and coming out of the apartments and all. It's a mess.
that's right. So I'll just kind of draw this freehand. So right, oh, that's not the right color. Let's try. Let's try something a little better. So the idea is that you would come down and there's enough room to turn left here, but there's also enough room to have a through lane going this way, like that. That's probably the worst drawing ever to show that, but I hope you get the idea. Okay.
Is there going to be a right turn on the northbound side?
No, there's not enough room to put one there.
Currently, if you're going west on Monroe and you go to turn out of there, you're going to have one lane northbound to watch and 2 lanes southbound to watch. Is that correct?
Say that one more time. What going?
Lane northbound, whether it's turning or going straight.
Yep.
And in the southbound lanes, you're going to actually have 2 lanes of traffic there. You're going to have a turn lane and a through lane.
Yes, that's right. That's right. There is room for that. The current geometry has enough room. We're just putting a curb there now to make it more standard, because there's a really big shoulder there right now that folks just kind of use functionally to do the same thing as we're showing here.
How do we slow them down to where they don't get waved out or it's gonna be a tight one there, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's designed to be 11-foot lanes, so it's tighter than normal. And currently there's kind of a wide pavement section with wide shoulders, kind of a standard NDOT approach to this. And so now you'll have narrower lanes with a curb and gutter side, so that it makes it feel smaller. So
It's busier, so people tend to slow
Yeah.
down.
that's right. That's right.
Are they-
So as opposed to like something like a speed bump or something physical or mechanical like that.
They a rolled curb or a 90-degree curb?
Currently we have it as a 90-degree curve.
The 11-foot lanes, like up around Newbie, what are those currently?
The lanes, I want to say 12-foot with a little bit of shoulder, but I'm not 100% off the top of my head. Okay.
And just to be clear, these are just regular sidewalks. There's no big bump outs and all that stuff.
No,
These are just regular with handicap ramps and all of the
correct. Yep.
normal sidewalks.
These are standard 5-foot wide sidewalks with standard handicap curb ramps.
I just don't want people thinking we're putting in tons of more bump outs everywhere. So, okay.
All right, appreciate your time, and I am done.
Mark, I know at our last meeting I asked if you could go over the contract. I think you were going to look with that with legal counsel as far as omission and errors on the state's part. Did you guys do anything on that? As far as the right-of-ways?
Like as the
As
state,
in,
like an
fall
error.
back on them, yes. Is there error and omission?
I don't believe we can do that. Yeah, yeah.
Gentlemen, before us, we have the question of whether we want to proceed. Again, we sent these plans in for the Community Crossings Matching Grant with the understanding that we do the project as presented to them. The next step is the $42,450, and that does not include any type of land acquisition whatsoever, does it?
It does not include the price of the land.
Okay. We're hoping that there's a possibility that we could go into this with the prepared legal description exhibit plats, and out of the goodness of their heart, 11 people say, hey, I want to be a Mooresvillian of the Year next year. We'll put their name on the plaque somewhere. So this could be as low as the $7,700 and the right-of-way process management, the $4,000, and that is to banning. Is that correct?
Yes, and yes, that is correct.
And that's win, place, or draw. That's if they give us the ground or if they don't give us the ground. We still owe you that. Nothing out of the goodness of your heart.
Well, if they were to all donate this all together, then I think that there's a portion of that right-of-way management that we would not need.
Okay.
So we can talk about that.
During your guys' meetings on this, had you talked about funding of the $42,000?
I asked him to come in to present it to the council at that point, and I wanted him to get you guys up to date on the whole thing, because I didn't think you had seen that whole project for a while. So we just met, right before the holiday. So then this was the first meeting since that meeting that we had.
So do we need action on this? Does your committee need action on this tonight, or do you want to come up with funding mechanisms and?
It does not have to be tonight. It's preferable, but if we can get the right of entries going, then I think that it could wait till next meeting. But
I've been trying to think about this too. Should we have him contact Jewel and see how much we can do on our own as far as the right of entries?
Well, Jewel actually said, if I understood what you're saying, Jewel has the template probably from our sewer project.
Right.
So I imagine he just copies and pastes a few things, and we're ready to go in and start in with that. So I guess what we do is we would need action tonight on having him move forward with the.
That's with Banning.
No, that would be with legal counsel doing it and giving it to Banning.
Okay.
Yeah. Entry to right of way.
Yeah.
So I guess we will need action on that one item.
Yeah, and what we would do is, we need to approach the property owners. That's part of the proposal, really, the time that we need to go meet with the folks. So if you want to just do right of entry, then I think Dave would do it. I don't want to speak for you. You're a big guy, so anyway, but yeah, that could get things going.
What were your expectations for this evening?
Something similar to what you said. I thought that we would have the attorney, that we would see what we could do on our own, but also allow them to move forward if they need to. That's kind of what I was thinking, but
Okay, do I have a motion to approve moving forward with the right of way, the permit for right of way?
I'll make that motion.
Motion been made. Do I have a second? Second. Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Shane, Greg, 5-0. I will make sure that Jewel knows that tomorrow,
Okay.
and he will be in touch with you. Next item on the agenda is the voluntary annexation request. Hi there.
Good evening, council members. My name is David Gilman, and my office address is 211 South Ritter Avenue, Suite H, excuse me, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46219. I'm here tonight representing the property owner, Patel, and I also will be representing CTC, who will be acting as the developer for the subject real estate. The property that we're asking the town to consider for annexation is 46 acres. It lies north of the Packmore facility and south of Morningside Addition, all on the east side of State Road 67. And we're excited about the development. We've had some communication with the Redevelopment Commission through Chelsea Mans, and we want to continue moving forward. We do have an application filed with the Board of Zoning Appeals and the Plan Commission for our conceptual plan for the entire 46 acres. That hearing would be scheduled for February the 9th. Mr. Bennett has been in communication with the Morgan County Plan Director, that they both agreed to allow us to move forward with the zoning and conceptual plan approval through the town instead of the county, because the buffer zoning, I think, will end relatively soon. And that's why we wanted to at least have the annexation introduced before we start going through development hearings with the council, so that you all can have a chance to at least accept our voluntary annexation, and then we would proceed with your second and third readings as we move forward. So we would sort of parallel the annexation with our development plan approvals through your other boards and commissions. The property is zoned industrial, which is good. There are some conditions that were granted back in 1999 with the Morningside residents that we will still honor, but we can get into that when we go through the conceptual plan approval. If you have questions about the annexation, or maybe some questions about the potential development or the user's investment, I'd be glad to answer those.
Questions? The process of this, we will have to have a hearing before 30 days from today from his request, but it does have to be advertised 20 days prior. So that kind of puts us in the 1st of February to get things in line. After the hearing, we have to wait 14 days to act on an ordinance. And this council will have to approve us getting a fiscal plan completed. And, you know, that's always been kind of a topic of discussion when people say, why don't you annex the whole buffer zone? You have to have a plan of how much is it going to cost? Why are you going to do it, and how much is it going to cost? A lot of times people think that annexation is just a way to capture more funding. It's not. Levies are set. You go before the state board and say, okay, now I want to have an excess levy to gain more money to cover this. They're going to say, why did you annex it to begin with? This fiscal plan will authorize it through Baker Tilly. I believe they did it on our last annexation of the Poly property. They'll come back and say, for a development of this sort, it will take X number of hours of road work in a snowstorm or fire or police. It will cover us as far as what are the additional costs to annex it into the town of Milledgeville. So this is kind of going to be a little bit of a drawn-out process, but it's no different than anything you've run into throughout the state of Indiana.
That's
It is
that's
our
correct.
state statute.
Yeah.
Our question is, do we want to annex this property? I know in 1999 when we talked about the rezone on it, we tried to get them to annex it then. There were some stipulations and laws as far as what you could and could not do with agricultural property and limits on the tax rates on that if they weren't changed. That was rezoned, like you said, with many stipulations, and I appreciate the fact that you addressed that you will honor those.
Absolutely. Yeah.
This council, to act on this tonight, this council needs to, number one, authorize a fiscal plan to be done. Number two, it needs to set a hearing for 30 days from this date.
Could I ask a couple of questions?
Sure can.
Just on a process. So, moving forward, this has nothing to do with the zoning. Are you applying for a zoning change, or are you just reviewing the plan with the planning commission?
Yeah, so what we have a conceptual plan before the Plan Commission
Okay.
that's going to be compliant with the 1999 PUD, and then we will further that with a preliminary and final plat, because some of the land parcels will be sold off. But initially, we just have the concept plan for the 46 acres that'll be before the Plan Commission on the 9th.
So on the zoning, will this be the only thing that comes before us, or will something come out of planning commission to come back to the council?
If it's
Since
not
it's-
rezoning it, since it's PUDI, it probably will not come back.
It won't even come
As
back
long
to
as
us, will it?
As long as
Okay.
it complies with the original stipulations that were placed on the property.
Is that what you're
That's
saying?
my understanding, yes.
Okay.
That's my understanding.
That's how I interpreted what was going on, but I want to make sure.
Now, I do know we'll have some more interaction with the redevelopment commission, because I think eventually we will start an application process for tax abatement for some of the developer.
That would be taxation finance rather than abatement. The council would do the abatement for you.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
to is no longer. Will we have to work with the county on this, or?
No, what he's trying to do is get everything in a row here, get everything in line to where, once the process starts, everything will be done within the civil town of Mooresville. All of the building permits, all of the planning, all of the plating, everything will be done within the town of Mooresville.
So that's why I'm sorry, were you speaking? So that's why he has to annex it, so it can remain in our planning commission.
Correct.
Now, I'm going to ask another question, just what happens if the planning commission and your petitioner don't come to agreement? Does the property owner still want to annex it in regardless?
I think the annexation is the first step. We're going to get the annexation done first.
Yeah. You see because if
I
I'm spending
do
money, I don't want to spend money and not know. I mean, I'm not trying to throw shade on what you're doing. I'm just asking the question.
Well, the type of annexation is voluntary.
Right.
And so my landowner has signed a voluntary affidavit agreeing to annex into the town.
Okay.
Now, obviously, the process allows for public input.
Right.
And when that comes, it just depends on, how it pans out. But I don't think there's any indication that the landowner would not benefit with or without this development as not being as part of the town, especially now that the buffer zone's gone.
Right. I would agree with that, but I just wanted to make,
Yeah.
because we're spending money to move forward, so
I understand.
I wasn't trying to throw shade on you. I was just,
No, that's
curious.
a great question, and all I can say is we want to actually start construction late next summer, so if that helps.
Since they ask the annex, then
Yeah, we're not forcing annexation.
Correct.
They're asking for it. That's it.
and it's already zoned, so.
So gentlemen, I need two motions. I need, first off, the motion to move forward with the setting of the public hearing within 30 days, and we'll let legal counsel set the exact date. And then I also will need a motion to proceed with having a fiscal plan drawn up by Baker Tilly.
move to have a public hearing set up by legal counsel.
I have a motion to have legal counsel set our public hearing for no less than 30 days from today. I need a second. Motion made, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Now I need a motion to move forward with a fiscal plan to be completed. Like I said, we've used Baker Tilly in the past.
Motion to move forward with a fiscal plan put together by Baker Tilly.
Motion been made, do I have a second? Motion made and seconded, all in favor? Aye. Greg, Josh, 5-0. The process has begun. I appreciate your time and effort.
Thank you, we're very excited.
Thank you.
Department head reports.
Hope everybody had a good holiday. Welcome back. I just had a couple things to go over, and I'll try to keep it as brief as possible. Our fence project is due to probably be approved on Thursday. We're hoping to have a start date on the 9th, which will be next Monday. I have to go to the RDC meeting on Thursday. They didn't have one in December because they didn't have a quorum, so trying to get that pushed through and get it started. We have an all-day application process starting on Saturday because I think I've stated before in the meetings, we actually had all of our spots filled and then one of them fell through, so we have an open spot that we didn't expect, so we're having a one-day process at Mooresville High School where we're going to do PT test, written test, and an interview board, initial interview board, all in one day to try to knock it out, to try to get another quality candidate to fill our last open spot since we lost the person that we had in that spot. So that, like I said, it's going to be on Saturday. We hopefully won't be there all day, but I do know that some of the 40-some applicants that we had are going to show up to do their PT test, and we'll be able to determine whether they can pass the entrance exam for ILEA. So that will help us out a ton. One of the points that I had down here is kind of a recent issue that we're having, and I guess it's not a recent issue. I've been talking to Diana off and on about it, is our IT. We've been having a lot of IT issues. We continually have emails that quit working on almost a daily basis recently, and they're not getting fixed. We have some security issues that I think, as a police department, if I'm getting emails from the FBI, I don't think that an IT department should just be able to break in my computer and start looking at my emails. I think that's a security issue. Some of those are for official use only and restricted. So I would like to propose that we have a department heads meeting and maybe hash this out and come up with a solution to this. I'm not trying to I'm not trying to discredit anybody. I just know that we're paying a lot of money, and I want quality. You pay me, you get quality work, and if you didn't, then you tell me about it. So I'm just telling you. Our Office 365 is randomly working. We don't have Teams. We are constantly having to talk to vendors and other departments on Teams or FaceTime. And to me, email is the basic of basics IT support. If we have IT support, then if we needed upgraded software, that should have been done. We shouldn't even have to worry about that. So I would propose that maybe the clerk, maybe we could set something up and meet with the department heads. I'm sure this isn't an issue that just the police department's having. I know because I've talked to the other department heads. So also, I've set 6 goals for the department this year. Sent that out. Our training, I've already scheduled 4 of my officers to attend a leadership academy throughout the year to get leadership training for my first line supervisors, and then do some advanced training to better our department and better our service to the community. We have CIT training. All of my officers have so far signed up for CIT training. That helps them better deal with people with mental issues or maybe have some sort of mental disability. And I think it also teaches them to be able to speak to people better. The younger people that don't have any interpersonal skills, they kind of get a few of those when they go to these trainings. Accountability is second on my list. We are doing pretty good on accountability. I've tried to be as accountable as I can and be an open book to the public. If they have problems, I've tried to solve them. I think I've done a pretty good job until now. We're going to start a mentorship program, an employee support program, and I'm stressing on team building within the department to try to get us to work together as a team. And obviously, retention is always a point. We need to keep the good people we have and don't lose them to somebody else. And so we're doing what we can do, and we'll continue to do what we can do. And I'm always open for feedback from the board or whoever. So unless you have any questions, that's all I have.
Once,
The camera's not on, is it?
No.
I just don't want to see myself.
It turns red and it vibrates. You can't hear it, but though the cameras are up and running.
Yeah, I'd just like to touch on your IT. I've been dealing with our IT provider, Telemagine, and I think it's a combination of a lot of things. I think previous vendor, our side, some of your email problems, if our employees could remember their login and password, that would help.
Yeah, but they
because-
change the passwords, and that's not the problem.
Well, I've talked to him today, and that's a couple of your problems. So,
But like, my clerk who's been there 40 years, she's not forgetting her password, but her email just shut down, and that cut down overtime, time off, all that stuff that needs to be put out.
I talked to Steve today too, so I think there's.
Steve Osro.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's another thing is that I would, at least for the police department, I would like IT support that is 100%. Mm-hmm. Like Steve handles a lot of stuff. I mean, he does a lot of stuff with our Spillman.
Steve Ellsroth.
Yeah, Ellsroth. Okay. And if Steve ever decided to leave, we'd be up a creek, because I don't know that anybody else can work on those systems. And I'm big on, 2 is 1 and 1 is none. And if Steve was to leave tomorrow, we'd have none. And I just don't want to see that happen. I mean, a lot of our operations, they depend on somebody being able to work on them. And, so I don't know anything about our IT, or I wouldn't have hired somebody. So
Right,
I know how to
right.
get on the email.
Yeah.
And I'm, like I said, I'm not trying to talk bad about anybody. I just would like to get quality support for what we're paying. I mean, I look at the bills, I see we're paying quite a bit of money. And so customer service is big in my book. So I hope we can work it out.
I'll be in touch with you. We'll set something up.
All right, thank you.
Had, he'd reached out to me and said that he was trying to get on top of this. I know that I had contact from a few department heads. Feel free to talk to them whenever. Get together if you want to. That's what happened the last time when we switched. As far as your in-house, I think that's by choice. Jeff, if I'm not mistaken, I think Ellsworth wants to do that. If you don't want them doing it, or if you want to put some back on the IT guy, they bid it as though they were going to do the whole job.
Yeah.
We had bids that were giving Ellsworth some more responsibility because he wanted it. So that's back in your court on that there. If you need
Yeah.
to, if you need to do
And
something,
Steve does a great job. I'm not speaking poorly of Steve at all. He's very knowledgeable. I'm just trying to have a plan B in place in case something were to happen. I mean, if tomorrow Lord forbid, I get hit by a car, John Fork's going to step up in my spot and run the department. He knows what I do. He might hit me with the car. No, I don't think he wants it.
not the town car.
Yeah, no, we can't afford any more repairs right now. We can't afford any more repairs. And one of the things, and speaking of repairs, I know we were a little over on our repairs on the vehicles, but our vehicles are starting to get a little aged, and so until we get some new fleet in, we're going to have to deal with that. Trying to get through a lot of our older equipment that we've had since the 1999, and try to replace some of that stuff instead of continuously paying for repair. I'd rather get a new system, upgraded system, and have it there working for us. So, but yeah, as far as that's concerned, I mean, I'm open to whatever. I just want it to work.
Sure.
I mean, I don't care who it is. So,
What equipment are you talking about from 1999?
we still have some radars and
Oh.
stuff from, probably from before you got hired. We still have the receipts for them, I know that.
Is that right? Probably.
Yeah. So, yeah.
When you make an offer and the police commission approves an offer to a position,
Yeah.
that position's filled until the process is complete.
Yeah, so this is a learning curve for me. So what happens is, we do a process, we find somebody that we think will be a good officer, but that's not the end of it. We have to put it before the police commission. The police commission can only go off what we tell them.
Right.
But then because we fall underneath PERF, they have to go get a full psych, physical, and then the results of that has to go to PERF in Indy, and then they determine if they get hired or not.
Right. But that's
And
part of every process.
Yeah, they can say, no, that guy is not going to be suitable, and we're not going to, we're not going to insure him, we're not going to, provide him retirement or whatever, and I'm not going to take anybody that PERF's not going to approve, because that would be silly.
Right. But when you offer, it's offered until the process is
Yeah,
complete,
and
so you
in
have
our
that
condition,
position is not available.
right.
And then then you reopen a process.
Yeah, we have to open up a new process, so it's a conditional officer, and it's stated in the conditional offer that it is pending PERF approval.
Right.
PERF approval of, and also our local pension board, which I found that out also, which we had a board meeting, so yeah, we'll get there, we'll get full, and hopefully not lose anybody else, but if we do, we'll hopefully have a list to draw from.
When you have so many applicants, you can't give a contingent offer, can you?
I mean, not necessarily. I can't, I have no idea what PERF does or
Yeah.
doesn't do, or their doctors. It's just like insurance. Insurance doctors say you don't need that, but your doctor's saying you need it, and it's, you have to go with whoever's going to pay the bill. So, in this case, PERF's paying the bill technically, and they're determining when their start date is, and we have to, we're at their beck and call. So we're waiting for, we have one person, their packet was sent off to PERF, but all the PERF doctors have given him the thumbs up. We're just waiting for the process. It's government, so nothing happens quickly. I hand delivered a packet up in Indianapolis. Got harassed by a couple of homeless people while I was down there, but that made me want to drive back to Mooresville really quick. So, yeah.
Anything
Yeah.
else? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. But that's all I have, unless you have any more questions.
Anything else for Chief?
All right,
Thank you.
thanks for your time.
Good evening. I put in front of you guys the run stats for 2022's run stats. For December, we had for the EMS, we had 132 runs for the month. We had 10 fires last month. We had 69 other calls for a total of 211. That actually put us up 236 runs from 2021. For the last year, or for 2021's runs. Also, to kind of touch base on Chief Buckner's stuff, I have a pension board meeting tomorrow morning with our pension board for our new hire also. So at that point in time, we'll be taking it to the pension also, and if the board approves them for conditional offer and all that stuff. So then at that point in time, we will be fully staffed. So I'm hoping everything goes fine tomorrow. Also, as of January 1st, I appointed a new assistant chief to get me some help up into that office. Jordan Russell, if you would stand, please. He was hired in as a lateral transfer from Monroe Township in Bloomington. Left down there the money. He left the money to come up to here for a lot of stuff. He has proven himself, worked his way up, and I think he's going to be a very good asset to this town and helping me and supporting this administration and moving forward with this town's wishes and doing things. Other than that, I have nothing further. Just wanted to introduce him and get him, so if I'm not around, then he'll be the next guy in charge to pick on and yell at. If you got any questions for me, then I have nothing.
Curious, are the assists then the other department?
So the others could be the assists, and the others could be like going and lifting somebody up that has fallen and couldn't get up.
Didn't know where all the assists were, whether
Yeah, it
they
usually.
were our fires, 10 fires, or whether they were.
So the fires could be in the assists also. I know for our town, I think we've only had like 2 runs in town that was our fires. A lot of the times we get called because we are the full-time department and everybody's hurting. I know I've went to a chief's meeting last month. I've got one later this month for the whole county. And even every fire chief in the county is asking, how many you down, how many you down, how are you retaining? Retaining's the big thing. Everybody's hurting. I know Martinsville's in a process right now. They're hiring 3 full-time firefighters and possibly 4th because they've got a captain getting ready to retire. So everybody's hurting.
It didn't mean nothing. I was just curious how it was broken down.
Yeah. It's kind of throughout the whole category.
Hey, thanks for the Santa parade and all the things you did for the Christmas season. I got a lot of positive feedback, and
It was fun.
for your first try, I thought it was a really good event. Saw a lot of people come out to it. So I think that's an event that'll grow each year.
I'm hoping.
Yep.
Anything else for Matt?
I'd like to say congratulations.
Thank you.
Doesn't know Matt very well, does he? So congrats. Oh, Dave Moore.
Good evening. So I'd like to start off with the banners. The last time we took down the banners here in town, they were they were worn, faded, starting to fall apart, so we need to think about maybe getting some new banners, and we have new poles along High Street too that have banner arms. So we'll have to include, what was it, 40, several more. I know I spoke about the cemetery mowing. I would like to get council permission to advertise for mowing for the next 2 years. Pretty sure we're on the 2-year cycle, so if you would like, I can advertise and get bids for mowing of the cemetery for the next 2 years. Pardon?
Yeah, we'll address it all at one time.
The next thing, we met with the Kenworth salesman. We went over all the specs for a new plow truck. I know council has not voted on purchasing one yet, but he still can't give me a firm price on what that's going to be. We put together the same truck that we bought the last time, but it's just, he can't give me a firm price. He's hoping by the end of January he will be able to come in with a firm price, and I'll bring that back to you for a vote. And that's all I have.
On the banners, I know you've got those in the past, and I know, Josh, you made the comment that you had talked to someone about the banners that have the veterans, like they've done in Brownsburg.
There's a lady that I'll get with you. She's in charge of the banners, like in Hendricks. I think Plainfield's done it, Danville.
Right.
Veterans.
even has it.
AMO. I'll get you her info to see who they use.
We actually,
List the names if it's something we can consider.
help with the list of names. We did reach out to Plainfield, and they said that Wrap It Up, a Mooresville company here, was the one that did their banners. But yeah, as far as a list of names, if that's the direction we want to go with that, that'd be a big help.
I'll give you contact for that.
Could we form a little committee of, I don't know if Josh wants to be a part of it, or I would like to be with Dave and a couple of members of the public, maybe get someone from a veterans group, to start researching the different sets that we would want or themes, and then bring it back to the council.
Hey, I don't know if his mic's working. What he said was, him and Josh want to do this. Sounds good to me. Do I have a
Do
motion
you
for
want to do
that?
that? We can sit on it, get a couple more people.
Well, I think the three of you would be outstanding.
Is that okay with you?
Consensus?
Absolutely.
Aye. Okay,
I have a
your
book at
first
home,
job. Okay, mowing bids, I need,
book at home that shows veterans from clear back at the World War I
From here?
from here.
Pictures?
Pictures.
That'd be cool.
Where'd you get that?
Come up with it somewhere. She's saved everything that
Wow.
she's ever.
That'd be good to
Where
have.
she got it, but it's interesting. I'll bring it. And
Yeah, that'd be a big help.
Okay. Okay.
mowing bids. Yeah, I need a motion to allow Dave to start the process to advertise for mowing bids.
So moved.
Motion been made, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Jeff Shane, 4-0, or 5-0.
Thank you.
Trucks, we have funded them, so we, as long as it doesn't come back $5 million, we're, okay.
Good evening. I just have a couple of updates. In the November work session, the park board voted to permanently close the zip line, so it will not reopen. I am looking at some options. I've spoken with the company. They've come out of possibly if there's any parts that they will buy back, or they're talking about coming and disassembling it at their expense, so we may be able to do that. So we're looking at future things that we can do for development. With that being said, mid-December, I submitted my resignation. My last day will be January 20th. But the superintendent position has been advertised. I did that right before I left for vacation, or before the holidays, with our state association, and then I've got a few more that I'll wrap up advertising tomorrow. So, also sent to some universities reaching out, that have park and recreation feelers out there. So hopefully we'll get some good candidates to come in and fill the role, so. Any questions?
Keep the zip line so you'll stay?
No.
You want to take it with you
What?
as a parting gift?
No.
Chris? I know you've had a short tenure as superintendent here, but your time that you spent here prior to that has not gone unnoticed. You've been an outstanding advocate for the park department. I certainly appreciate it. Losing you as our superintendent is going to be pretty tough. And going where you want to go, I hope that it is an improvement, but we will miss you. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I have one more town council meeting I will be at, and kind of let you know who the contacts will be, until they find something new.
Thank you. All of our department heads. Motion for approval of payment of claims. Oh, no, wait a minute. Sorry. Legal, no, none.
Public comments.
Public comments. Anyone here to?
Yeah, sorry I didn't sign up because I didn't know you were going to be talking about something that was so near and dear to my heart. First, I'm surprised you guys haven't said it. Welcome, Josh, to town council. For as long as I've lived here, I have wanted to see a sidewalk up the east side of Monroe and the west side of Indiana. My kids have walked to school going through Newby, Paul Hadley, and the high school, and it just makes life so much safer for the literally hundreds of houses that are right here in the core of Mooresville. That being said, I'm very worried, very concerned about what seems to me to be a cavalier attitude towards sidewalks, the size of them, their placement, whatever else. The question I would ask is, how many accidents, injuries, or near misses have there been on the sidewalk going up Monroe? To my knowledge, 0. Yes, I know there was a crossing guard that was hit. She was in the road. The driver was an idiot, wasn't paying attention at all. But that's not the kids. And I see kids up there all the time. And I think you and I talked about it, Tom, and it feels dangerous, but it hasn't resulted in any problems. And when I see these people with really small front yards, and then half their yard is taken over, thank you. I mean, like, really? Do we need to do that? And I would say, no, we don't need to do that. And it feels to me as though, hey, we got a bunch of money, so let's go tear up this person's yard and move the sidewalk so we can spend the money. And I know that that's not, everybody would say, no, that's not what we're doing. We're trying to make it safer. Not getting it. And think about this too. When we get a sidewalk up the east side of Monroe, how much traffic is that west sidewalk going to get? A trickle. I mean, there are going to be some kids, obviously in front of Newby, and that's about it. So why spend all this money to move a sidewalk into somebody's yard? I'm not concerned about the Friends Church, but if you look between the old gym and Pizza King, there's that little house there, and they don't have diddly squat for a yard, and now we want to move the sidewalk. They're not here to defend themselves. I'll be like the Lorax and speak for them. So why would we spend all that money to move a sidewalk west and then not have hardly anybody on it? Because all the kids are now staying on the east side of Monroe. And, we can look at the drawings, and we can hear Banning Engineering talking about this. I'll tell you what, I'm retired. If any of you want to meet at West Main, West Washington, which is where my son lives, so I'm familiar with that area, or Morgan and Monroe, any time of day, let me know, and we can do a little 15-minute walking tour and just get a feel for what that actually looks like. We can talk about, well, there's that big tree out by the dumpster and the root flare, that's what it's called, the root flare would impact. You know what? You can cut into that root flare. You're not going to kill the tree. You're not. My wife went through this where a sewer line was excavated right next, the maple tree was about this big in diameter, and half the roots were severed, the tree survived. I would ask, please, for the purpose of keeping the character of the town the way it is, save as many mature trees as we can. And if, heaven forbid, we have to cut one down, let's replace it. And then, and I'm sure any beekeepers here would agree with me on this. When we do plant trees for decorative purposes, I would ask that we do natives, and not do those Bradford pears. I mean, yeah, they're pretty in the spring, but they're invasive. I don't even think you're allowed to do them anymore. Service berries, flowering crab apples, red buds, there's a long list. So, thank you for indulging me.
I'd be happy to meet with you if you want to. You know that. I will say, just real quickly, I met with the school yesterday, and they have had kids hit. I don't have the number, but they have had kids hit. I met with Rex Cook, so I can probably get you that number, just so you know. But just email me or whatever.
Hi guys, I kind of dragged my feet with the holiday season and didn't get put on the agenda for tonight, but just a reminder, I was here about a month ago asking you guys to consider an event coordinator position for the town of Mooresville. I wanted to remind you that I'm still here and I'm still waiting. I've met with a few of you as far as kind of talking about the position and answering different questions. I still have a couple of you to meet with. I kind of wanted to know maybe if we can move forward on anything at this point, maybe a negotiation as to how this might work, or, legally how this could possibly work for the town of Mooresville. But that's why I'm here.
Told you I would talk to you after the first of the year.
Yes, absolutely.
We will get together.
Okay. Perfect. Does anybody else have any questions?
Will it be on the next meeting agenda?
If she chooses for it to be, we would be happy to do that. If that's what you want to do. I know you said you kind of drug your feet, but if you would like
Holidays, I forgot to call Diane and get myself put on the agenda.
well, if you want it put on the agenda, we can do it at our next
Okay,
meeting.
let's do that. Perfect.
There you go.
Can
All
you
right.
give me a copy of that packet?
I sure can. Can I email it to you? Is that all right? Okay. I will do. All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Motion for approval of payment of claims.
Okay, we got two, motion to approve $394,456.06.
Motion been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Craig, Josh. 5-0. Next docket. Or do you have another docket?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Motion for approval to pay the claims in the amount of $205,568.05.
Motion been made. Do I have a second? Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Craig, Josh, 5-0.
There you go, man. Sign it.
Town council comments. Jeffrey?
I have none.
Jane?
A couple real quick things. One, I'm not sure when we do this, but when we select who will be the liaisons for the department heads, I'd like to request to be with the street department with the pending upcoming 200th anniversary. And if that's all right with the council, I don't know when you want to make, I don't remember how we make those decisions, if you decide or if the council decides.
Well, I think in the past what we've done is, when you came on, I explained to you that what we were trying to do was make it to where the department heads could enlighten and tell a liaison, hey, this is what I need, this is what I'm looking at, and the liaison could actually go to bat for them, could bring it to the council and say, here's what we're up against. I think that year, You made it to where we all had our each ones, but you with all of us on all the departments. It's not working. It's not working as far as liaisons. We're basically going to the department heads as we need them. I say we just do away with the liaisons and just go back to whether it's chaos or whether it's controlled chaos or whether it's just better for the department heads. They'll seek out the council members that they want to talk to. So I say we just do away with it. That would be my suggestion.
Okay, so that, I don't have to have permission then to?
No.
Okay, then lastly, and I meant to bring it up when Dave was speaking, now that the torches, we seem to have a solution, I think we should start looking at creating a calendar of the holidays that we want and the colors that go with them, or, a basic plan for whether it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month or, other major Thanksgiving, major holidays, sort of causes and holidays, and then that's approved by the council, as well as being a part of this with the banners, and it's kind of all in that realm. So do you mind if Josh and I include that in our initial presentation for the banners and the working with them on calendar?
I think that's an excellent idea. Is there any way that you two have any knowledge on how to disassemble a zip line?
No.
Okay.
Chris is taking care of that before she.
Bolt cutters.
Maybe we involve the public in both of those things somehow through town social media or something, but we can do that.
Anything else? Okay.
Nope, thank you.
Josh.
Well, we had our state board of accounts audit, and we had no issues found, and I would like to thank Clerk Diane and her staff for completing that, and job well done.
I got a great staff, so I give a lot of credit to the girls in the office. They do a great job for the town.
Thank you. Greg?
I'd like to welcome Josh to the council and also echo what he said about the clerk's office. I think they do a wonderful job. I never knew what all they did until I come on the council. I don't know, it just seems like they're running uphill all the time. But they do a fantastic job, and I appreciate them.
Anything else?
Oh, and yeah, don't miss any meetings, please.
Welcome, Josh. You're part of a dysfunctional family that, yes, we don't get along sometimes. Yes, we do get along sometimes. But in the grand scheme of things, I think we all try to do what we feel like is best for the town of Mooresville. To everyone that attended tonight, thank you very much. Gentlemen, I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion been made. Do I have a second? Made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Greg Shane, 5-0.
Sorry, I didn't introduce myself. Dave Snyder, 51 West